Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava
Jaya
Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradari
Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya
Jaya
Girivaradari
Girivaradari Shodhanandana Rajajana Ranjana
Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana
Yashodhanandana Brajajana Ranjana
Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
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 Rama
Hare Rama
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 Hare
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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama
Rama Rama
Hare
Hare Hare
Hare
Jaya Gauranidai Gauranidai Jaya Gauranidai
Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai.
Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada
Jaya Prabhupada,
Prabhupada
Prabhupada,
Prabhupada
Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva
Jaya
Jaya
Gurudeva,
Gurudeva Jaya
Gurudeva,
Gurudeva
Jaya
Jaya
Gurudeva,
Gurudeva Jaya Guru
Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva
Jaya
Gurudeva Jaya
Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva,
Gurudeva
Jaya
Jaya
Nitya
Gurudeva.
Guru
Gaura Hari Bol, Nitya Gaura Hari Bol.
Nitai
Jaya
Gaura
Gaura
Hari
Hari Bol
Bol, Hari Bol, Hari
Hari
Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Nitai Gaura Premanand. Hari Hari.
Hari
Hari.
Hari Bol.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo
Om
Bhagavate
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Om
Namo
Namo
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
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 Namo
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 Bhagavate
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskritya
Narayanam
Narayanam Namaskrityam
Namaskritya
Naram Jaiva Narottamam
Naram
Naram
Chaiva
Jaiva
Narottamam
Narottamam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Devi
Devim
Devim
Saraswati
Saraswatim
Saraswati
Vyasam
Vyasam
Tato Jayam Udirayet
Tato
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 Jayam
Jayamudire
Jayamudiraye
Nasta Prayeshu Abhadreshu
Nashtaprayeshu
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 Abhadreshu
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam
Nityam
Bhagavata
Bhagavata
Sevaya
Sevaya
Bhagavati Uttama Sloke
Bhagavati
Bhagavati Uttama
Uttama
Shloke
Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki
Bhaktir
Bhaktir
Bhavati
Naistiki
Naistiki
Krishnaya Vasudevaya
Krishnaya
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 Vasudevaya
Vasudevaya
Devaki Nandanaya Cha
Devaki
Devaki
Nandanaya
Devakinandanaya
Nandanaya
cha
cha
Nanda Gopakumaraya
Nanda Gopa
Nandagopakumaraya
Kumaraya
Govindaya Namo Namaha.
Govindaya
Govindaya
Namo
Namo
Namaha.
Namaha.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So we are reading from Canto 4, Chapter 31, text number 17. Yata nabasya bratamah prakasha
Yatha
Yatha
Yata
nabhasye
nabhati
Navasya
bhratama
tamasat
prakasha
bhavanti bhupana bhavanti
Bhavanti
Bhavanti Bhupana
bhupana
Bhavanti
bhavanti
Anukramat
anukramat
evam pare brahmani shaktayastvamu
Evam
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 Pare
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 Brahmani
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 shaktayastvamu
Saktayastvamu
rajastama sattvamiti pravaha
Rajastama
Rajastamasattvam iti
Rajastamasattvam
pravaha
Pravaha
yata nabasya bratamah prakasha
Yatha
Yatha
Yata
Navasya
nabhase
Nabhasi
Prabhasha
prakasha
Prakasha
bhavanti bhupana bhavanti
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 Bhupana
Bhupana Bhavanti
Kramat
Anukramat
evam pare brahmani sakta shaktayastvamu
Evam
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 Pare
Pare
Brahmani
Brahmani
Saktayastvamu
Saktayastvamu
rajastama sattvamiti pravaha
Rajastamasattvam iti
Rajastamasattvam
pravaha
Pravaha
yata nabasya bratamah prakasha
Yatha
Yata
nabhase
Nabhasya
pratama
Pratama
prakasha
Prakasha
bhavanti bhupana bhavanti
Bhavanti
Bhavanti Bhupana
Bhavanti
Bhavanti Anukramat
anukramat
evam pare brahmani shaktayastvamu
Evam
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 Pare
Pare
Brahmani
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 Shaktayastvamu
Shaktayastvamu
rajastama sattvamiti pravaha
Rajastamasattvam
Rajastamasattvam
iti
iti
pravaha
Pravaha
यथा नवस्य अभ्रातमः प्रकाशा
Yatha
Yatha
Yata
nabhase
Nabhasya
abhratama
Prakash
prakasha
भवन्ति भूपा न भवन्ति अनुक्रमात्
Bhavanti
Bhavanti
bhupana
Bhupana
bhavanti
Bhavanti
anukramat
Anukramat
एवं परे ब्रह्मणि शक्त्यस्त्वनु
Evam
Evam
pare
Pare Brahmani
brahmani
Shaktayastvamu
shaktayastvamu
रजस्तमः सत्त्वम् इति प्रवाहः
Rajastama
Rajastama
Sattvam
Sattvam iti
iti
Pravaha.
Pravaha.
About 2 more
Yata
meanings.
nabasya pratama prakasha.
Yatha nabhasi
navasya
apratama prakasha.
Bhavanti bhupana bhavanti anukramat.
Bhavanti
bhupana
bhupana
bhavanti
bhavanti
anukramat.
anukramat.
Evam pare brahmani sattayastvamu.
Evam pare
Brahmani
brahmani
satyastvanu.
satyastvanu.
Rajastama sattvamiti pravaha.
Rajastama
Rajastamaha
sattvam
sattvam
iti
iti
prabha.
pravaha.
Yatha nabhasi apratama prakasha.
Yatha
Yata nabasya
nabhasi
pratama
apratamaha
prakasha.
prakasha.
Bhavanti bhupana bhavanti anukramat.
Bhavanti
Bhavanti bhupana
bhupana
bhavanti
bhavanti
anukramat.
anukramat.
Evam pare brahmani shaktayasvama.
Evam
Evam pare brahmani
brahmani
shaktayastvamu.
satyastvanu.
Rajastama sattvam iti prabhaha.
Rajastama
Rajastamaha
sattvam
sattvam
iti
iti
pravaha.
pravaha.
More 2 word meanings. Yata,
Yatha
Yata
as.
As
as
Nabasi,
nabhasi
nabhasi
in the sky.
in the
in the
in the
sky.
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 Abra,
Abra
Abra
Abhara
clouds.
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 Tamaha,
tamaha
Aha.
darkness.
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 Prakasaha,
Prakasha.
Prakashaha
Prakashaha
and illumination.
And
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 illumination.
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 Bhavanti,
Bhavanti.
Bhavanti
Bhavanti
exist.
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 Bhupa,
Bhupa.
Bhupaha
Bhupaha.
O kings.
O
O
kings.
King.
king.
Nabhavanti,
Na
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 bhavanti.
bhavanti
bhavanti.
do not appear.
Do
do
not
not
appear.
appear.
Anukramat,
Anukramat
Anukramat.
consequently.
Consecutively.
consecutively.
Consequently.
Evam,
Evam.
Consecutively.
Evam
Evam.
thus.
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 that
Pare,
Hare.
Pare.
Pare
supreme.
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 Supreme
Brahmani,
Brahmani.
Brahmani.
Brahmani
in the absolute.
In the
In the
the
absolute.
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 Shaktayaha,
Shaktiyaha.
Shaktayaha.
Shaktayaha
energies.
Energies.
Energy.
energies.
Tu,
To.
To.
To
then.
Then.
then
Then.
Amuha,
Amoha.
Amuha
Amuha.
those.
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 Rajaha,
Rajaha.
Rajaha
Rajaha.
passion.
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 Tamaha,
Tamaha.
Tamaha.
Tamaha
darkness.
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 Sattvam,
Sattvam.
Sattvam
Goodness.
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 iti,
Iti.
Iti
Iti.
thus.
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 the
Pravahaha,
Pravaha.
Pravaha.
Pravaha
emanation.
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 Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
My dear kings,
My
My
dear
dear
My
king.
kings,
sometimes in the sky there are clouds.
sometimes
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 in the
in the
in the
sky there
sky
are
sky
there are
there
clouds.
are
clouds.
clouds.
Sometimes there is darkness.
Sometimes there
Sometimes
Sometimes
is
there
there
is
is
darkness.
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 And sometimes there is illumination.
And
Sometimes
sometimes
there
there
is
is
illumination.
illumination.
The appearance of all this takes place consecutively.
The
The
appearance
appearance of
of
all
all
these
these
takes
takes
place
place
consecutively.
Similarly,
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 in the Supreme Absolute,
in
in
the
the
Supreme
Supreme Absolute,
Absolute,
the modes of passion,
the
the
modes of
modes of
passion,
passion,
darkness,
darkness,
Darkness
darkness,
and goodness
and
and
goodness
goodness
appear as consecutive energies.
appear
appear
as
as
consecutive
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 energies.
energies.
energy.
Sometimes they appear
Sometimes they
Sometimes they
appear,
appear,
and sometimes they disappear.
and
and
sometimes
sometimes
they
they
disappear.
disappear.
Purport: darkness, illumination, clouds sometimes appear and sometimes disappear. But even when they have disappeared, the potency is still there, always existing. In the sky, sometimes we see clouds, sometimes rainfall, and sometimes snow. Sometimes we see night and sometimes day, sometimes illumination and sometimes darkness. All these exist due to the sun, but the sun is unaffected by all these changes. Similarly, although the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the original cause of the cosmic manifestation, he is unaffected by the material existence. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 7.44. Bhumirapo nalo vayu kammano buddhirevacha ahankara iti yamme bhinna prakritirishtada. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego, altogether, these eight comprise my separated material energies. Although the material or physical elements are the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they are separate. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is therefore not affected by material conditions. The Vedanta Sutra confirms Janmadasya Ataha, the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of this cosmic manifestation are due to the existence of the Supreme Lord. Nonetheless, the Lord is unaffected by all these changes in the material elements. This is indicated by the word pravaha, emanation. The sun always shines brilliantly and is not affected by clouds or darkness. Similarly, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is always present in his spiritual energy and is not affected by the material emanations. Brahma Samhita 5.1 confirms Ishvara Paramakrishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadinadir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the supreme Godhead. He has an eternal, blissful, spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin. And he is the prime cause of all causes. Although he is the supreme cause, the cause of all causes, he is still Parama, transcendental. And his form is Sachidananda, eternal, spiritual bliss. Krishna is the shelter of everything. And this is the verdict of all scripture. Krishna is the remote cause, and material nature is the immediate cause of the cosmic manifestation. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that understanding Prakriti or nature to be the cause of everything is like understanding the nipples on the neck of a goat to be the cause of milk. Material nature is the immediate cause of the cosmic manifestation. But the original cause is Narayana, Krishna. Sometimes people think that the cause of an earthen pot is the earth. We see on a potter's wheel a sufficient amount of earth to produce many pots. And although unintelligent men will say that the earth on the wheel is the cause of the pot, those who are actually advanced will find that the original cause is the potter, who supplies the earth and moves the wheel. Material nature may be a helping factor in the creation of this cosmic manifestation, but it is not the ultimate cause. In Bhagavad Gita 9.10, the Lord therefore says, Maya dakshena prakriti suyite sacharacharam. This material nature is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, and producing all moving and non-moving beings. The Supreme Lord casts his glance over material energy, and his glance agitates the three modes of nature. Creation then takes place. The conclusion is that nature is not the cause of the material manifestation. The Supreme Lord is the cause of all causes. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmulatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavam Sacha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Swajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakanvitam Sicha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Purshabhanu Sudhe Devi Pranamami Hari Priye वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लङ्घयते गुरुं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरम् Hare Krishna. Thank you all for joining this morning's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam session. It's really a quite important verse. I would pray for all your blessings and all the Guru Parampara and my own Guru, so that I may be able to speak, glorify Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam devotees with an appropriate mood. So when we reflect on this verse, a very thoughtful question naturally arises, right? About how to understand this world where we live in. We see there are constant changes all around us, right? Sometimes there is harmony, sometimes confusion, and sometimes disturbance. And all of the other times, maybe there may be a mix of both appearing together, right? So from this source, one central point that we can reflect on is how Supreme Lord remains completely unaffected. Even though everything in this material world happening and governed by three modes of material nature, and how he remains unaffected. So the example given here, just as the sun remains unchanged, even when the sky is filled with dark clouds, thunderstorms, and heavy rain, the sun itself is never disturbed or never touched, right? So from our perspective, on earth, the sun may appear covered, but in reality, nothing has happened to the sun. So the covering is only from the limited viewpoint of the observer, right? And the sun continues to shine exactly as it is mentioned in the purport. So in a similar way, the Supreme Lord is described in Bhagavad Gita as transcendental to material nature. Even though everything, creation, maintenance, and dissolution takes place under his arrangement, he is never entangled in it. So just like a king may order construction of a city and the city expands and thousands of workers act, forests and all the plants and trees cleared, right? And the rivers are redirected. But the king sitting in his palace is not affected by the dust or the labor, right? He remains still in his royal position while everything happens under his direction, under his authority. So, similarly, the Lord is never inside the reactions of material nature. Rather, everything functioning under his direction. So, as we reflect a bit more on this point, the Lord remains completely unaffected by material nature. Sometimes it may appear to be, perhaps, material nature is functioning independently. And probably that's why the Lord remains untouched. But that is not the conclusion, given in the Shastras. So in Bhagavad Gita, Lord clearly explains that all the elements we experience, earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, ego, are his separated energies. They originate from him and they function under his direction. And they do not affect his spiritual nature. So the point is very clear. The material is not independent. It is dependent and subordinate. And because everything around us is the Lord's energy, when we offer his energies back to him with gratitude, it becomes love, right? So when we perform arati, so what does we actually do? When we offer the lamp, we are offering the fire, right? And the incense is the fragrance carried by the air. When we offer water, it signifies the life and purity. And the cloth is actually often substance is associated on the earth, with the earth. Then what about flowers? The flowers are nothing but offering beauty of earth nourished by water and sunlight. Even the sound of the conch or bell vibrates to the ether. So in a real sense, so Arti is a movement where all the material elements described in Bhagavad Gita are simply gathered together, gently returned to their source. So even though all these elements are material and separate from the Lord, but when they are offered with devotion, they become spiritualized, right? And one may argue that if everything is Lord's energy, then why do I still develop a sense of ownership and control and responsibility? So, one level, we understand the philosophy that earth, water, air, fire, and ether, intelligence and mind are energies, or it is energies, and they are nothing truly independent. And there is nothing truly ours, actually. But in our daily life, but what do we feel? And this is my home, and this is happening because of me. So, where does this gap come from? Right? The Shastras explain this is happening through the false identification. We don't just use things, we begin to identify with them. And that is the main problem. Just like a person wearing a uniform may start to thinking, I am this role. We begin to think, right? I'm the doer, controller, and I'm even the owner. So even though in reality, we are only caretakers, caretakers within a much larger arrangement. Let's imagine a small child sitting in front of a bicycle, holding the handlebar, while father is actually riding the bike. And because the child is holding the handle, he may excitedly say, Papa, look, I am riding the bicycle. From the child's perspective, it may feel real. There is a sense of control, a sense of doing for him. But in reality, the father is controlling the direction, right? And the father is managing the speed, and he is himself ensuring the safety. And the child is simply being allowed to feel involved, right? So, in the same way, we are given a certain field of activity in our life. We make choices, we put in effort, we plan, we act, and naturally, a sense of I'm doing develops. But the deeper understanding, as explained in Bhagavad Gita, is that material nature is carrying out actions under higher direction. Our sense of control is not entirely false, but it is partial and limited. We can see from the example of Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So Arjuna was overwhelmed in the beginning. He sees himself as the doer and the decision maker, and even one responsible for everything that was happening in the war. Now that will happen. This sense of I'm in control led him to confusion, right? Then, through the teachings of Krishna, his vision gradually shifts and he begins to understand I'm not the ultimate controller, I'm only an instrument, right? So Krishna himself says, Nimitta matrena bhavasavi sachi. You just be an instrument in this whole higher arrangement. So, and when that realization deepens, his confusion clears. Not because he stops acting, but he stops claiming ownership over the entire outcome, right? We tend to feel ownership because we only see a small part on a bigger picture. Identify ourselves with the role and effort and forget the larger system and the source behind everything. So the real transformation is not to stop acting, but to stop, or even but to soften the sense of ownership, shifting from this is mine to this is assigned to me, and shifting from I'm in control to I'm participating in a greater arrangement, right? So the shift removes the entire pressure. We continue to act and give our best, but without the burden of thinking everything depends solely on us. So in that position, devotion becomes natural. Why? Because recognizing that truly belongs to us, then offering everything back to Krishna feel not like an obligation, but like a return to reality. So Prabhupada mentions another beautiful point in the purport that Krishna is the remote or ultimate cause, and material nature is the immediate cause. So the Supreme Lord is the ultimate cause behind creation, maintenance, and destruction. And material nature, it is only an immediate or secondary cause. So in the life, especially when the things go wrong, we point to people, situations, timing, or even circumstances as the cause of what we experience. But even after identifying these reactions or reasons, there is often a feeling, subtle feeling that something deeper is operating behind the scenes, behind everything. So the scriptures invite us to look beyond that surface level of understanding. They present a very clear and foundational principle that behind everything, behind all causes and effects, there is one supreme source, and from whom everything ultimately originates. And the verse it's quoted here, the Janmadasya Ataha, everything emanates from the absolute truth. So that means there is a difference between the immediate cause when we can observe directly and the ultimate cause, which is the deeper source behind everything. So when we begin to explore this difference, life itself starts to appear in a new way, not as a series of random events, but as a connected flow within a much larger intelligent arrangement. For example, we could see how things have unfolded in the life of Srila Prabhupada itself. Right? We know in his early days, before he traveled to West, he experienced significant financial loss in his pharmaceutical business. and struggled with funding and the logistics for his printing projects. So at one point, due to various circumstances, everything was lost. His business was collapsed. His efforts seemed to fail. And externally, it looked like a major setback for him, right? So from an ordinary viewpoint, what would we say is the cause? So the cause would be unfavorable circumstances, or people did not cooperate, and so on. And these are all the immediate causes, and they are visible as practical reasons. But what happened next is the real insight. So instead of becoming discouraged, Srila Prabhupada accepted the situation deeply and moved forward with a stronger dependence on Krishna. And eventually, that failure became the turning point that led him to fully dedicate himself to the writing and preaching. And later he alone traveled to the West and established a worldwide movement, which we all know very well, right? So now looking back, how do we understand that that earlier loss? Was it simply a failed business? Or was it a divine redirection? So that is where the distinction becomes very clear. So the immediate cause was external circumstances, and the ultimate cause was the Lord's higher arrangement to bring about a much greater purpose. And that is how the material nature works. It provides the visible things, the events, the people, the situations. But behind all of them, there is one Supreme Lord is guiding the deeper outcome. Sometimes what we call a problem simply could be a Lord rearranging things in a way that we cannot yet understand. And learning to see beyond the immediate cause is actually the beginning of deeper spiritual realization, a deeper spiritual vision for that matter. So when it comes to the people in general, when something unexpected happens in life, do they stop at the immediate cause? Or do they try to see a higher arrangement behind all of them? Obviously, in the practical world, the first response is quick and natural, right? Something happens and the mind immediately looks for a cause. That person did this, and that situation caused this. And because of that went wrong, because it all happened. And to be fair, this is not wrong. They are the immediate causes. And they are the visible things trigger right in front of us, right? But the main difficulty is that we usually stop there at the immediate cause. Imagine a devotee who has been preparing for a very important outreach program. something they have worked for a long time. Everything is carefully planned, a lot of effort put in, and the hopes and expectations are very high. On the final day, something unexpected happens, a delay, maybe a disruption. And at the last minute, something happens that is beyond their control. So, in that situation, in that heat of moment, the mind reacts because of that person, because of that mistake and that situation, right? And there is disappointment and maybe even frustration. So, at that moment, the life silently gives two ways of seeing the situation. The first is to remain at the level of immediate cause. This happened because of them, and that's it. And the second, the scriptures gently invite us toward is a deeper reflection. Yet, yes, this has come through the circumstances, but maybe there was a higher arrangement that I don't yet understand. So this is explained in Bhagavad Gita, where Lord himself explains that the material nature works according to his direction. Maya dakshana prakriti, suchare suite sacharacharam. Right? So in other words, the events that we experience, they are not random. And the circumstances are not out of the way. But there is a larger arrangement behind what we see, right? So in the life of Kunti, she suffered repeated hardships, loss, danger, and even uncertainty. So from a worldly perspective, we could easily point to many immediate causes: enemies, political reasons, tensions, and family conflicts. And yet her response was extraordinary, right? She offers prayers asking that those difficulties may come again and again. And because in those moments, she felt a deeper remembrance of the Lord. This didn't mean she ignored the immediate causes, rather, she saw beyond them. She recognized that behind those situations, there was a higher arrangement guiding her closer to the divine, right? So, Krishna is the cause of all causes. Yeah. He is the Sarva Karana Karanam, as stated in the Brahma Samhita, and the ultimate source behind everything that exists. So one of our Bhakti Vriksha member asks, so when we say Krishna is the cause of all causes, does that mean Krishna is the reason for all the evil in this world? What do you all think? Is he the reason for all the evil, for all the calamity that is happening, especially between two countries? Can anyone answer? So in this world, events unfold through the law of karma, right? as explained in Bhagavad Gita, material nature works according to its direction, and the living beings experience results according to their own past actions. So, one level, our happiness and distress are connected to what we have done. On another higher level, everything is still taking place within Krishna's overall arrangement. Right? He is the cause of all causes, yet he is not the cause of all effects. His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu beautifully explains everything ultimately emanates from him, and Krishna confirms that this clearly in Bhagavad Gita, that he is the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Aham Sarvasva Prabhu, right? And everything emanates from him. However, while Krishna is the ultimate cause, we must also understand that he is not directly responsible for everything that is happening in this world. He explains that he does not accept responsibility for anyone's sinful or pious activities. Rather, living beings are bewildered due to their ignorance. Right? This highlights an essential principle. We possess a free will and we may misuse it. And when we do so, various consequences arise. Thus, while Krishna is the foundational cause, there are multiple layers of causation that shape the outcomes we experience. Right? For example, consider the growth of the crops. If the grains grow well, we may give that result to the fertile land, soil, or even the farmer's great skill and the timely rainfall. But at a deeper level, we recognize that none of these would be possible without the God's grace. And the law and the rain falls by his arrangement. And the farmer has the ability by his grace. Right? And the land exists by his provision for all of us. So, in that sense, he is the cause of all causes. Yet, the final outcome depends on intermediate factors. So, if the farmer neglects the land, weeds may grow instead of crops, right? For that, the rain cannot be blamed. The result comes from farmers' carelessness. Similarly, when suffering or wrongdoings occurring in this world, it is not the God's causes evil. Rather, it arises from the misuse of the free will by living beings. Right? So even the natural calamities can be understood within this framework. They are not simply acts of arbitrary acts of God, but are often connected to the broader system of karmic reactions, shaped by the higher, shaped by human actions, actually. So, thus Krishna, untouched as the well-wisher of all, everyone. So, in this way, Krishna is a cause of all auspicious outcomes. And he will always be the compassionate. And to the extent we align with it, we experience the auspiciousness. So the Bhagavad Gita further describes Krishna as the supreme friend, proprietor, and well-wisher of all living beings. Yeah. Samoham savabhuteshu namodveshosthena priya. He is the well-wisher of everyone, right? When we remember this, our perspective begins to shift. Both happiness and difficulty, they are no longer seen as random, but they become the part of a larger plan meant for our own growth, self-reflection, and maybe introspection, right? So with that, I would like to stop here and see if anyone has any questions or comments.
Hi, Krishna Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam. Thank you very much for your nice class. Um, just reflecting on what you said, and again, I was listening to a class by His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. He said, in our day-to-day activities, we should not put everything on the Lord. Only when, if the visible factors become, they do not explain the result, then we go beyond that. Because if we just start blaming everything on the ultimate cause, or just because Krishna wants everything to happen and therefore they happen, then we will become very fatalistic that we will not have anything to do. But we should look at the visible causes first, and if the visible causes do not explain the result, then we go to the further causes, and ultimately it may be the highest, that is, it is Krishna's will that is happening. He explains this in relation to Ramayana. He says, when Lord Rama was asked to go to the forest, you can explain it saying, oh, it is Manthara who caused it, or it is Kaikeyi's wish that caused it, or it Kaikeyi wanting attachment to Bharata which caused it. But then Lord Rama, when he looks at it, and even when Lakshmana comes to him and puts all these options, and he says, none of this is true, because Kaikeyi always had the greatest of affection for me, and this is not her normal thing. Therefore, I accept that this is the will of providence, and I take it to be that way. So in that, yes, there is multiple layers, of course, but the cause should be accepted as immediate if they explain it. For example, if the knife cuts my finger, I should accept that I have been not careful in cutting, and therefore instead of cutting the vegetable, I cut my finger, rather than say, oh, this is what Krishna wants to happen. So therefore, that is, from a very practical point of view, for me, is something that we have to look at rather than do the ultimate. Because as you rightly said, if we just blame everything on, or if we say everything is caused by the Lord, then where is our free will, where is our effort, and where is our things that we are putting in? So we have to accept the ultimate cause is a combination of all of different factors, but we should not bring in the ultimate factor first, but rather look at the immediate factors before we go to the ultimate. Thank you very much. Hare
Yeah,
Krishna.
that's definitely true. So if we are careless, like, if I'm while driving, if I'm speeding and I get fine, so obviously I cannot blame Krishna, and probably this was his arrangement and something like that, because I deliberately speed and that would have caused to get the infringement. So yes, if the immediate reasons do not explain, and sometimes it's a bit confusing also, Prabhu. Like, it's quite debatable, I would say, because when we explain the statement karmana daivanetrena, the explanation goes in a different line. And when we hear the sarvakarana karanam, the explanation in those lines, the explanation quite different. Yes, the cause of all causes, yes, but when we hear about karmana daivanetrena, everything good and bad is happening because of one's karma, yeah, because of one's past actions. Then how can we blame Lord? Then what does karmana daivanetrena means? Because there is one supreme authority who is actually releasing karma, one's karma, whether it's good or bad, at a certain point by creating suitable time, circumstances, and suitable people to fructify that karma. So, in that sense, I think, wouldn't we think? Um, of course, my intention was not to blame Krishna, but yes, I cut my finger, but probably this was my yeah, it might be stupid, if we think that this might be my own karma, but then what does karmana daivanetra? Yeah, see, I think these two, probably I need a little bit more um, um, contemplation to understand between these two, sarvakarana karanam and karmana daivanetrena. I think these 2 points are quite debatable, I would say.
Prabhu, as you rightly said previously, Krishna is the cause of all causes. He's not the cause of the effects. So, yes, ultimately, see, if we were to do everything goes back to Krishna because he's the cause of the creation. So, if he's the cause of the creation, he's the cause of everything that is within the creation, and he's the cause of all the actions within the creation. And therefore, in that way, he's the cause of all causes. But a particular effect that is there within the creation, that we should only look at that effect if we cannot see. As in that case, see, the cause of the cutting is our not being careful, not being actually in the moment, fixing our attention on the cutting of the vegetable. So, therefore, the cutting of the finger happens. Yes, you could argue that, yes, in the past, I might have caused someone to have that pain of having the finger cut, and therefore now I have to cut my finger to experience the same pain. You can say that, but that's what. See,
Yeah,
but
in that sense, our intention was not to blame, but we
yeah,
are taking it as that, okay, this could be my own karma. I'm
yeah,
suffering. Yeah.
yes,
So, yeah,
that's
like what?
possible. I'm not
Yeah,
saying
yeah,
so,
yeah, yeah.
but therefore the thing, of course, the fact could be that even if it is your karma or if it is your thing to happen something, if the Lord intervenes, if you're surrendered and the Lord intervenes, that may not happen. Just like how Arjuna was saved so many times during the Kurukshetra war by the Lord being present, because the Lord wanted Arjuna and the Pandavas to become victorious. He created so many situations in without which otherwise they would have lost. So, therefore, ultimately, you do have your karma, you have your effort, you do have the Lord. All these three together create the ultimate effect. But if your effort is the direct visible cause, then we accept it. If we cannot see that, then if we can understand it is our karma, then you give the effect to that. But when we cannot understand either of these two, then you leave it that this is what the Lord wanted to happen. We cannot go in the reverse order and say, first I ascribe it to the Lord, then to karma, and then to my own thing. So that is how I understand this. Thank you, bro.
Mm. And there is another point also, little bit more reflection on the free will. So sometimes we hear there is free will, but even that free will is actually under the purview of the Krishna. Yeah. So the so-called free will is actually not the free will. For example, we may see in the child care centers, there is a called free play. Yeah, there's something called free play. So yeah, the children are they're they're free to select whatever they want to play. But ultimately, that arrangement was created by the teachers over there. So in the room, in one corner, there were some teddies. In the another corner, there may be some cars. In one corner, sandpit. So it's so-called free will of the children in what they wanted to play with. But again, it's still on a higher level. It is still in under the purview of all the management over there, under the teachers over there. So in that sense, that free will is also what I understood is actually not the free will. So Lord has put all these arrangements and stuff like that. So yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, that goes back to the same thing. He's the cause. He's the
Correct.
cause of the
Cause of all.
creation. He's the cause of the creation. He's not the cause of your free will.
Correct.
He's the cause of your creation. He's the cause of the creation of so many things. See, there are so many million people in this world. They could have all been today in this Bhagavatam class. The Bhagavatam class, the situation, everything may be created by the Lord. But for them to attend it or not, that is their free will. The Lord
Correct.
is not making. But also the other side of it is the free will is not such that you are equivalent to the Lord. You cannot have the free will which goes beyond the Lord's abilities. So it is like, so that is why the free will example is usually given. The farmer creates the fence. He puts a peg, he ties a rope to the cow and he leaves it. To the extent of the rope, the cow is free to roam within that area.
Yeah.
That is our free will. So certainly, yes, within the boundaries of what the Lord has created, we have got free will. But then to the extent of that rope, the cow is free to do. In the same way, the free will is we are able to exercise our free will to the extent that it does not go beyond the boundaries that are created by the Lord. But we are not able to define the boundaries that are there. So we cannot expect, so that is expecting to say that we don't have any free will at all is incorrect, nor to say we have got complete free will is also incorrect. We have got free will to the extent that it sit within the boundaries that is set by the Lord. That is the proper understanding. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Prabhu, for your explanation. So anyone else have any other comments or suggestions?
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Very nice class and very nice discussion. I just have one point that there is a difference between a materialist or non-devotee and a devotee. The devotee accepts anything which comes as Lord's mercy. Now, on the point of somebody cutting a little finger, a devotee says, I could have even have the whole finger or whole hand cut off. But Krishna was so merciful that he only gave me a little, cutting of the, or maybe a little laceration of the finger. So devotee takes it that way, that mercy of Krishna, whatever happens. Whereas materialistic on devotee, they will blame the Lord for that. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Very nice class. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji, for your point. Yes. So if there are no other comments, then we would end the class here. So Vancha Kalpatarubhya Sacha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Gauracandra Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai. His Grace Sivapati Gauracandra